Imagine this for a second. World War II is raging across Europe. Cities are burning, millions are dying, and deep inside Nazi-occupied Norway, Adolf Hitler is quietly betting everything on one secret weapon. Not tanks, not rockets, not even jet planes, but something so rare, so strange, that only one place in all of occupied Europe can produce it. Heavy water, and the fate of Hitler's atomic dream is about to rest in the hands of a man no one would ever suspect. Janitor. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear is one of the most intense, cinematic, and unbelievable stories of World War II, and it almost never gets told the way it deserves. Before we go any further, if you enjoy deep, story-driven World War II content like this, make sure to like the video and subscribe to World War II-ifical right now. It really helps the channel grow, and it tells YouTube to bring you more stories like this one. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. By the early 1940s, Hitler was obsessed. He knew the war would not be won by numbers alone. The Allies had more factories, more oil, and soon, more soldiers. Germany needed a miracle weapon, something that could change the entire balance of the war overnight. Nazi scientists believed that miracle might come from nuclear energy. If they could split the atom first, they could build a bomb unlike anything the world had ever seen. But there was a problem. To control nuclear reactions, German physicists needed heavy water, a rare form of water where hydrogen atoms are replaced with a heavier isotope called deuterium. Heavy water acted as a moderator, slowing down neutrons and making sustained nuclear reactions possible. Without it, Hitler's atomic bomb program would collapse before it ever truly began. And here's the terrifying part. In all of Nazi-occupied Europe, there was only one industrial-scale source of heavy water. A hydroelectric plant hidden deep in the mountains of Norway at a place called Vemork, near the town of Ruk. Whoever controlled Vemork controlled the future of nuclear weapons in Europe. When Germany invaded Norway in 1940, securing Vemork was a top priority. German scientists arrived soon after, overseeing production and shipping heavy water back to Germany in carefully guarded containers. Every shipment brought Hitler one step closer to an atomic weapon. What the Nazis didn't know was that they were being watched. Among the workers at Vemork was a quiet Norwegian man named Knut. Officially, he was just a janitor, cleaning floors, moving supplies, keeping his head down. Unofficially, he was part of the Norwegian resistance, and every day, as he swept hallways and emptied trash bins, he observed everything. He watched the scientists, he counted the guards, he memorized routines. He saw the heavy water shipments being prepared and loaded, and he understood exactly what they meant. Hitler knew that if Germany succeeded here, the war and the world could change forever. The Norwegian resistance had already tried to stop Vemork once before. An earlier Allied raid had failed, ending in disaster and executions. The Nazis tightened security even more, convinced that the plant was now untouchable. But they underestimated the determination of the people who lived in those mountains. In early 1944, a small group of resistance fighters was assembled for what many believed was a suicide mission. 6 men. No air support, no backup, no second chances. Their goal was simple in theory and nearly impossible in reality. Destroy the heavy water production facility without alerting German guards. On the night of February 19, 1944, Knut Hokeled and 5 other resistance fighters began their journey. They skied across a frozen plateau under pitch-black skies, battling brutal, cold, and fierce winds. One mistake, one sound. One wrong turn and German patrols would gun them down without hesitation. As they reached the edge of the plateau, the real nightmare began. To reach the plant, they had to descend a nearly 600-foot gorge. In total darkness, on icy rock. With explosives strapped to their bodies, there were no ropes, no safety gear, just frozen fingers and sheer willpower. One slip meant certain death. Slowly, silently, they made their way down, hearts pounding with every step. At the bottom, they crossed the frozen river and approached the facility from a direction the Germans believed was impossible. No guards, no alarms. Exactly as Hokeled had predicted, using insider knowledge, Hokeled guided the team through a cable tunnel that led directly into the heavy water basement. German security systems were everywhere. Pressure-sensitive floors, alarm wires, armed guards just meters away. The men moved like shadows. Then, in the heart of Hitler's atomic dream, they planted 18 pounds of plastic explosive directly on the heavy water cells. Hochland personally ensured the charges were set perfectly. No mistakes, no delays. They lit the fuse and escaped the way they came, climbing back into the darkness. 8 seconds. That's all it took. The explosion tore through the facility with a thunderous roar. Years of nuclear research were vaporized instantly. Heavy water cells shattered. Equipment destroyed. The plant was crippled beyond immediate repair, and not a single alarm was triggered before the blast. By the time German guards realized what had happened, the resistance fighters were already gone, swallowed by the Norwegian wilderness. Hitler was furious. Investigations followed. Executions were ordered. But it was too late. Still, Germany wasn't ready to give up. The Nazis managed to salvage what little heavy water remained and decided to ship it out of Norway before another attack could happen. The plan was to transport the barrels by train, then ferry them across Lake Tinnadeep, freezing lake surrounded by mountains. What they didn't know was that Knut Hochland was still watching. Using information from resistance networks, Hochland learned the exact schedule of the shipment. He knew which ferry would be used. He knew the route, and he knew this was Germany's last chance. This time, there would be no second attempt. Hochland boarded the ferry, disguised as a civilian. No weapons, no backup, just a small homemade bomb hidden in his bag. The ferry pushed off, carrying German soldiers, civilians, and the remaining heavy water toward Germany. Deep below deck, Hochland planted the bomb near the cargo hold. He set the timer and calmly left the ship at the last possible moment. Minutes later, an explosion ripped through the ferry. Water rushed in. The ship tilted, then sank, dragging Hitler's atomic hopes into the icy depths of Lake Tin. The heavy water was lost forever, unrecoverable at the bottom of the lake. Germany's nuclear program never recovered. Historians still debate how close Hitler truly was to building an atomic bomb. But one thing is certain. Without heavy water, the program was crippled beyond repair. The Allies would go on to develop nuclear weapons first, changing the course of history. And the man who helped stop it, Knut Hochland, survived the war. He never sought fame, never called himself a hero. But his actions, along with those of countless ordinary civilians, proved something powerful. That even in the darkest moments of history, courage doesn't always wear a uniform. Sometimes, it carries a mop, skis through frozen mountains, and changes the world in silence. Stories like this are why World War II still matters today. They remind us that history isn't only shaped by generals and dictators, but by ordinary people who choose to act when it matters most. If this story moved you, surprised you, or taught you something new, let us know in the comments. Share this video with someone who loves real World War II stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe to World War IIifical for more powerful, true stories from history. Your support helps keep these stories alive, and your engagement helps us tell even more of them. Because some battles are fought without armies, and some wars are won by people the enemy never sees coming.